Why run for this office?
Good question. I'm running for the Third Ward City Commissioner seat because I feel that I have the compassion and the experience to be able to do the job well. My service on the school board, and that's really where my passion lies. I can recall having both of the seated Third Ward commissioners talk to me about considering this race, as well as the mayor. And last spring, when there was gun violence at 7 a.m. near one of our elementary schools across town, that is actually when I knew that I wanted to shift my focus, because all I could think about was the kid that's brushing his teeth and now trying to figure out how he's going to get to school, or the one who hears it and grab the backpack and head out because they're, too accustomed to hearing gunshots. And that's when I knew I wanted to shift my focus from within the buildings into the community.
So having said that, what do you think the biggest challenge is facing the community right now?
Well, I'd say, I think there are a number of things, and it kind of depends on the neighborhood. The Third Ward geographically is relatively large, and so in some neighborhoods, the issues of violence isn't there. And some people don't even necessarily know that they exist because they're protected from it and they're not seeing it or experiencing it. And then in other neighborhoods, I'd say that the business sector and economic development may be an issue. So I'd say the gun violence is one, economic development is another. And then I think overall, because these are some of the areas that I'd like to work on in addition to the day-to-day operations of a commissioner, is neighborhood engagement. And I think really good, strong neighborhoods that are viable can welcome what they want in them, and they can push out what they don't want. And it really takes being cohesive to do that well.
So how do you address those challenges? How do you get the neighborhood together to battle them? And is that your main goal, or that's your main reason, your main idea?
Sure. You have to go where they are, and some neighborhood associations are extremely strong in the Third Ward, and then there are others that are pretty dormant. And so you have to kind of engage the community where they are, where they're, where they congregate. So that may be in neighborhood businesses regularly, that may be at neighborhood meetings, that may be at neighborhood churches, that may be in neighborhood schools. But you have to go where they are in order to kind of reach them and to pull out what they would like to see as changes and opportunities within their neighborhoods.
On a wider scale, you know what the city budget's been like. There's been all kinds of ideas of how to save money, how to do more with less. One of them has been this whole issue of consolidating public safety with the city of Kentwood, Wyoming. Mm-hmm. Where do you land on that?
Well, first I'd like to say that I have the experience of balancing a public institution budget annually for a number of years. And the school's budget is actually twice the size of the city's budget. And so I look at that as an opportunity that maybe there'll be a number of things that I'll be able to see looking closely at the city's budget that may help, with some of the woes of a public institution in Michigan in their budget. I did have an opportunity last week to attend the 3.5 hour meeting where they rolled out the report last week and talked about the consultants just kind of talked about the fire and the police and the consolidation. And I agree with what the three bodies, the three commissions and council, what they came to the conclusion of is that I think this isn't the time to move forward with consolidation of those three cities, but it certainly is the time to engage the community to see what it is that needs to be done, because it didn't even sound like they were going to be able to save money immediately. And if that was the goal, then it didn't make sense to do, because based on what I heard and my interpretation, and granted I didn't have what they had in front of them, the report in front of them, but it just didn't sound like the time is now, or that's the best decision now.
Well, final question. You got an open mic, an open camera. Tell the voters something you might have not have told me that you want them to know.
Sure. I am a 31 consecutive year resident of the Third Ward. I've lived in the Third Ward since I grew up here in Grand Rapids as a youth. I'm a graduate of Creston High School, go Polar Bears. A graduate of Cornerstone University. This is my home. As I was kind of peeling back my where I lived in my early 20s and things of that nature, I've always been in the Third Ward, and I guess because it's comfortable for me, and I've lived in different communities. My first house was in the third ward. The house we live in now is in the third ward, and I'm just excited to be the catalyst of change for the third ward. I'm happy to say that I have experience that's second to none of the other candidates that are running for third ward. I have co-chaired a city liaison committee alongside the mayor, which was made up of third ward commissioners as well as school board members, where we talked about common issues and brought resolutions to those. And so I already have existing working relationships with the members of the commission, which I think is helpful. I have existing positive relations and strong relationships with the business sector, the nonprofit, the faith community, and all of those people will have to come together to make the change that we need in the third ward to move us forward. And so I'm looking for people to vote for me on Tuesday, August 6th. Senita Lenear is my name, and I'd love to be your commissioner.